Welcome back to Leadership Blueprints, everybody. I'm your host, BJ Kramer. Today's guest has been all over my Instagram feed, but maybe that's just my algorithm. Not sure if he's been on yours, but a topic near and dear to my heart as a former athlete, somebody who believes strongly in the power of sports to develop great kids, great leaders, all of the great attributes that we have, that we need to navigate life later on. And a topic that, as a parent of kids, as a coach of youth sports, and as a former athlete that, I'll be honest, wants to help my kids personally and any kid I coach to become the best version of themselves, reach their potential, and feel like I'm doing enough to help them get there, balancing that with the idea that youth sports is fun. So today, I'm having my buddy, recently a vendor of my business, Jonathan Carone. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me.
Great to have you. Excited to dig in and excited to see where the conversation goes. I'm going to start with something that's always on my mind. What do young athletes need most from adults in order for sports to be both challenging and meaningful?
I would say they need adults who care about them as humans more than athletes. Because if you care about someone as a human, you want what's best for them. And when you care about them as a human and want what's best for them, you realize that they need both the safety and the security of being loved, but they also need to be challenged. That if it's just easy and safe, that they're never going to grow. And so the way we know that kids grow the most and the way that we know they respond is when someone who has shown they care about them challenge them to be more than what they are right now. And so if we care more about these kids as humans than we do solely as athletes, and we show them that, then we're going to be able to get the most out of them, whether that's on the athletic field or if it's just in life in general.
What do you think happens to us adults? I'll give a shout out to my father-in-law. Hopefully nobody gets offended by this, but he says, women have ruined Christmas lights and weddings, and men have ruined youth sports. It's this idea that and it's this arms race. And I remember as a kid, you knew who the parent was that was trying to live vicariously through their kid's athletic journey. I was a swimmer. I can still call to mind the names of some of these parents. What happens in our psyche that all of a sudden we start either validating ourselves through our kids' performance, or I think it starts out healthy. Like, I just want what's best for my kid. I think sports are good for them socially. And when I was growing up, it was like you just kind of naturally progressed. Now it's an arms race for, can I make my kid better faster than anybody else?
The core of your answer, we've got to go deep down within us to just the way humans are wired. We have a desire for what's called two human emotions called self-love and self-glory. Self-love says we want people to like us. Self-glory says we want people to think we're good at what we're doing. And again, I stress, those are natural human emotions. They go back to the cavemen. When we were cavemen, we wanted others to like us and we wanted others to think we were valuable, so that when the cavemen from the other clan come over the hill and attack our clan, others will want to protect us. So it's a survival mechanism within us for us to want to be liked and to thought we were good at what we were doing. So that's what's buried way, 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 way down deep. So let's put it in youth sports. When we don't have the language for that, and when we don't know it's there, when our kid starts performing, let's say they do well, these other parents might like me a little more because my kid's performing well. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've heard a story of a kid plays a good basketball game and other parents congratulate the parent of that kid as they walk out of the gym. Hey man, your kid, hey, congrats on the great game today. I didn't do anything. I just sat there. But if we're not careful and if we're not healthy emotionally and all that, we can think, oh, that the kid did well because I pushed him in the driveway, or we signed up. And so we think it's because of what we did. And so that validation comes in. And again, self-love and self-glory are natural things. They can be great motivators for incredibly healthy things. But when they go from the back seat to the driver's seat and start taking us taking us places, and we're chasing that fix of, do these people like me? Do they not? Do they think I'm good? It takes us places we don't want. So the flip side of this, let's imagine my kid doesn't play well. Well, crap, BJ, are these parents thinking I'm not doing enough at home? Do they think I'm not as good of a dad as Timmy's dad because Timmy's performing better? And we start to put these identity pieces of us in the performance of our kids. I'll give an example. So my son is 9. He's finishing up 3rd grade right now.
We're on the same page.
Okay. So he's a soccer player. We play rec soccer in a small rural community. So we're co-ed.
Yep.
Not even all boys. My son has an October birthday, so with the way U.S. soccer's changing, he's actually getting reclassed down a year. So he's supposed to get another year of U10 while he's in 4th grade.
Yep.
Because of his size, we moved him up to U12 this season. So he's essentially going to get 3 seasons of U12 early, again, co-ed recreation, before he's supposed to move to U12. But 5 of the 7 boys on his team just tried out for competitive levels. And so my first thought, knowing he's not ready, knowing we don't want to go competitive in 4th grade, was, man, is he going to be left behind? Like all these other kids, is he going to, like, are other people going to look different than me? But then I started thinking, I'm like, okay, and I'm processing this in real time. I'm texting my wife. I'm like,
totally.
I'm less concerned about his athletic development. And I'm like, am I doing the wrong thing for him socially by not putting him in competitive, even though he's not ready for it? Emotionally and athletically, he's not ready to play 2 seasons up at a competitive level.
Yeah.
He's not there. But then I'm like, am I doing the wrong thing? Like, are others going to look differently on me because I'm not putting him on that team because he's not going to be around? So there's all these questions going on in my head. And I had to sit back and I had to think, like, what is best for my kid? Like, take away all these feelings for me. Like, I'm texting my wife. I was like, I understand these fears that I talk about all the time because this is one of the first times we're experiencing it with him on an athletic level. We've experienced it in other levels. And it's just like, when I can take that second to be aware of, is this feeling inside of me coming from some type of perception, how others might see me or how others might look at me or what I receive from others? Is that what's going on inside my head? Or is there something legitimate here that I need to be concerned about?
Right.
And sometimes it takes asking a couple layers of why. Like, okay, I'm feeling this. Why? Okay, well, this answer. Why? This answer. Why? And so once I get 2 or 3 levels down, it's like, okay, I think we're okay. I think what we had planned on is still the best route. We can lead him through, like, maybe he doesn't get to play with the kids he's been playing with the past few years and he's got to go make new friends in the fall. That's part of life.
Right.
Like that's a good growth moment for him. And so I was able to work through it. This is over the course of a couple hours probably. So it's not right away, but it just, having that awareness helps us slow down and process instead of reacting out of the normal human emotion that comes with just trying to survive life. And like, you've never raised this 9-year-old before.
Right.
You might have other kids, but you've never raised this 9-year-old at this moment in this situation.
Totally.
It's your first time doing it. So it's going to be stressful. Like, but once you understand these natural human motivators, you can take the time to process and get through the emotion and get back to, what's the logic here? What's the facts of the situation? What are the facts of the situation? What is the best path forward for my kid in this situation that is not going to be emotion-based?
I love that you said, like, you're normalizing these emotions and taking it back to caveman days. And I do think, like, anybody can realize what crazy can start to look like or feel like. And to your point, there's also like not natural, I think the healthy questions that people ask, which is, am I, I'll use me as the example. The question is not, you talked about falling behind. My biggest peeve with youth sports is everybody seems to be committing a lot more, a lot earlier. In the spirit of that is going to be, like that trajectory, the sooner you start it, the higher it's going to go. And you talked about money, you talked about time. Like I was the crazy of the crazy in swimming, and I didn't commit to like an insane club schedule, 5:00 in the mornings, and until my junior year of high school. And it never felt too late. Like I still was able to be a Division I athlete, and those were my goals.
If you're meant to be there, you're going to get there. I interviewed Stacy Newman earlier this year. She's the softball coach at San Diego State, UCLA Hall of Famer, played for the U.S. women's softball team, like Olympian, gold medal, accolade after accolade after accolade. And she says, if you're meant to get there, you're going to get there. Like all these things are going to align. You're going to get the drive. You're going to fall in love with the sport. You're going to have the genetics. You're going to be able to catch up. And when people hear that, they're like, well, you can't just leave it up to chance. No, but it takes so many things to get there that if you don't have those naturally, you're probably not, like, if you didn't have all those things in you, you wouldn't have gotten there. Did those need to be cultivated and led? Yeah. But you're not having, like, your parents weren't having to manufacture a love of swimming or a desire to work hard or a desire to compete. Like that had to come in its own time in you, or else you never would have gotten there.
I'm curious is it more burnout that's driving kids away from high school sports? Because there are statistics out there that there are kids that are, leaving the sport before they get to high school. Is it because we're starting so soon, or is it because kids feel like they're falling behind and they're not competitive? And when you're not competitive, you lose the fun.
Yes. I think there's a little bit of both, but one of the things that I talk about a lot is we are going competitive in sports at younger ages than we even started.
Right.
Like the example I like to use is basketball. And when I was growing up, we couldn't start playing organized basketball, rec league, till third and fourth grade. There weren't even all-stars until middle school. Like we weren't using the full-size 10-foot goal until I think fifth grade, maybe. But now we've got kids playing on 7U AAU travel teams in basketball where they're trying to use 10-foot goals and normal-sized basketballs. It's like, of course you're not going to have success right away. The ball's too big. The goal's too high. Like the court is so big, you can't physically throw the ball. Like the reason my son doesn't want to play basketball anymore, we played in first grade and they used, I think, 9-foot rims and I think the high school girls size basketball. So, and it was co-ed. Owen would go get open, like on a wing or something like that. And he's standing there wide open. And the kids physically couldn't pass him the ball that far. They could not throw the ball. And so he kept getting upset and he had a bad experience in first grade. I think he would enjoy playing, like we play in the backyard all the time. I think he would enjoy playing basketball in fourth grade next season.
Yeah.
But he had such a bad experience in first grade that he's not even open to it. And so part of the issue is we are rushing kids into sports before they're ready. And that was a mistake we made as a family. We should have waited. But again, this is when everyone else is starting. So we should start now, right? So there's that aspect of it. I also think one of my soapboxes is we don't have recreational areas for teenagers to play anymore. Like whether it's rec league or the old intramural system that was in high schools through the 80s, like we don't have organized quality programs for teenagers. And so because of that, moms and dads want their kids to stay involved in the sport because they know all of the benefits the sport will bring. They want their kid to be a part of a team. They don't want them sitting around with too much time in high school. But to make those middle school and high school teams, we got to do all the training in elementary school to even be ready for 7th grade.
Right.
So because of this like future looking fear of not making a team or something like that, we're putting kids in extra training or competitive level teams before maybe they're emotionally ready for it, socially ready, like athletically ready for it, in the fear of not getting there in the future. And I think that fear is motivated by love, motivated for wanting the best for their kid. But the reality is, I can give you example after example of kids who didn't go competitive till later. And yes, they were behind in 7th and 8th grade. But as they went into the competitive levels with joy and excitement, those kids who had been in it since they were 7 and 8 years old were starting to get burned out. So not only did they catch up fairly quickly, the kids who may have been ahead before are leaving, and maybe they're going to another sport, but they're like, I'm done with baseball. I've played so much baseball. By the time I'm 12, I don't want to play this more. I want to go find something else. And then you get to high school where, depending on where you live, there are so many more opportunities that aren't there previously. Like if you don't live in a big suburb or like a big population center, boys volleyball isn't really a thing that's available in the elementary and middle school ages. But
Right.
here in North Carolina, high school boys volleyball just became a sanctioned high school sport. And same with girls flag football. And I think part of the reason that we see kids leaving sports is A, there's more opportunity in high schools in some areas. B, there aren't recreational opportunities for those who just want to play for fun. And C, they are burned out from starting too early. So like, I hope the listeners can see like that's a very convoluted way, but there are so many issues going on at the same time that I can't just say this is the one thing, which is why I focus on like, my focus is on the parent and the relationship with the kid more so than athletic success, because at the end of the day, the athletic success is kind of fleeting. And if you're an athlete, you can probably go play some of these other sports, but it's that relationship that is going to cultivate the ability to have the bravery to go after something new, the resilience to try something and fail and keep going, to know that I am loved and supported at home so much that this new thing when I'm 15 years old, sure, let's go try it.
Yeah. I think, I mean, as you're talking, I've got 100 thoughts, but one is that self-awareness as a parent is probably the first step to being a healthier parent when it comes to sport. The second thing I want to hit on is that youth sports are supposed to be fun. And I think that the more fun they are, the more the kid is going to get the right lessons out of it. I talk about like this concept of lead yourself first in leadership development. I think the same thing goes in sports and coaches. The second thing we talk about is we do hard things. And it's not I do hard things, it's we do hard things. When you do
Can I interrupt? Hard can also be fun.
I was going
so hard and fun are not mutually exclusive.
Well, and my point in that is hard is more fun when you're doing it with a team or with somebody else.
And you're doing something you enjoy.
Yeah.
Like when we get off this interview, I'm getting in my car. On Thursdays, I play disc golf with 3 of my friends. I am the worst of the 4 of us. I'm going to go down there and I'm going to have the worst round of the 4 of us probably. I'm not that good. It is a hard sport for me.
Yeah.
But because of the people I play with and because I enjoy the game, I'm willing to have a frustrated 2 hours in the middle of the woods hitting trees and saying words I shouldn't say and getting mad at myself and wondering, is this ever going to be worth it? And then at some point say I want to quit. And then by the time we're done, say, hey, where are we playing next week? It's because I enjoy the people I'm around and I enjoy the sport, I'm willing to do the hard thing.
Man, you just brought up another topic. All right, so I'm going to hit this topic first. There's a book I read. It was written by somebody that worked for Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss wrote the 4-Hour Work Week and all these productivity optimization books. This guy worked for Tim Ferriss, and he wrote a book, Play It Away. So this is out to the adults out there. Anxiety and stress are at an all-time high. A lot of the FOMO and we got to keep up with the Joneses, and all that is at a rampant pace. This whole book's thesis was make time for play for yourself, because that is the number one thing to decrease stress and anxiety is the idea of play. Then we bring it back to youth sports, and we're saying, I was just reading an article about a girl that went to University of Pennsylvania, who committed suicide. Very, very successful athlete, very, very successful student, no sign of anything. And, she committed suicide because of the amount of pressure that maybe she was putting on herself. Maybe she was feeling other people were putting. I don't know enough about the whole story. I do know that mental health, we've seen it at the Olympic level. We know that mental health is a danger when we focus too much on outcomes and not enough on process. We focus too much on winning, not enough on fun. What are ways that we as parents, we as youth coaches can I'm competitive. I want the kids to be competing. At the same time, youth sports is supposed to be a safe place to fail. How do we as parents, how do we as youth sports coaches balance this idea of the competition is the stakes that allow you to learn the sport, allow you to develop, allow you to compete, but make it about the process, make it about having fun, not about the outcome?
So there's been some research done on every facet of the question you just asked. If you want the sources of this, go to healthysportsparents.com/sources. All the sources for the studies I reference will be there. The Fun Map study told us what kids find. The 4 things that kids find fun in sports are playing with their friends, learning new things, competing, and having adults who support them as they learn and grow. The outcome, winning, was like 40th in a list of 80. But kids want to compete. They want to learn new things, but they want to be supported by the adults around them. So those 3 things are vital to keeping it fun. So when we think about this idea of adults supporting the kids, what does that look like? Well, the way our brain is wired, it takes 5 to 10 positive interactions to make up for 1 negative interaction. So, BJ, you've had a couple conversations outside of this one, but we don't know each other well.
Right.
I'm enjoying this conversation. I think you're enjoying this conversation. But if I say something about your appearance, as just an offhanded comment about something you're wearing or your look, the way you look, or something like that, that 1 negative comment is likely going to stick with you much longer than the great conversations we had in the rest of the conversation. Why did he think that? What's wrong? Like, blah, 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 blah. And we don't know each other that well.
Yeah.
Imagine how a negative comment feels from mom and dad or coach. It holds greater weight. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't say things, that we don't correct negatives, or that we don't coach, or that we don't speak into things, but we have to be so overwhelmingly positive to show the kid that we love them, we care for them, and we don't think only negative things about them. So as the adult, it's going to feel like we're being overly positive, but we have to be overly positive to offset the weight of the negative comments. So because of that, yeah, as a coach, I'm sitting there thinking, I need to speak positive things into the little things my kids are doing. If I see a little thing on the field, hey, great job on that. Great job on that. Good job here. And it's as simple as that. Acknowledging the kids working hard, saying the good things, so that when I go to correct them, hey, let's work on this. You're doing this a little wrong. We need to do this and that. That comes across as, hey, Jonathan cares about me and he wants what's best for me. Not, man, why is he always picking on me? Why is he always saying negative things to me? So like there are a couple players that I have to correct more than others because they make the same mistake over and over and over again. So I have to be intentional about putting my arm around that kid and saying, hey, you did this, and this. Well, the reason I'm so hard right here is X, Y, Z. So it's like, to get back to your question, it goes back to the first question you asked me. These kids have to know we love them and we care for them outside of their performance, that we want what's best for them. Human beings are usually open to feedback from people who care about them and who want what's best for them.
I
How
think
we
that
give that
is
feedback is important. We can't be jerks about it. But if we love the person and we want what's best for them, that's naturally going to impact how we give them the feedback.
And I mean, I think I have a lot of people listening that are in the business world. They're in leadership positions, not in youth sports. This is a lesson that applies to anybody
apply
connecting in any leadership role to anybody, is that one, people are more receptive to criticism when they feel like it's coming from a place of love, and how you make that connection, how you build that relationship, how you show them that love really matters. And it has to be built up over time. You have to make those love deposits in order to make the constructive criticism. Yes.
The other piece of this is we can't correct every mistake we see. Whether it's parenting, whether it's coaching, whether it's leadership in a business, it's so tempting to want to say something for every single mistake we see. But that's going to feel like all we're doing is correcting to the person who's being like. So the question I ask is like, whether it's my kids, whether it's on the field, it's like, is this a repeated mistake? And is this repeated mistake causing a long-term habit or something like that?
Yeah.
But like my kids, we don't want them to leave their socks in the living room at the end of the day. And they leave them in the living room all the time. My daughter did last night. They also had end of grade testing yesterday. And like, I let it slide last night.
Yeah.
Will she get in trouble if I notice it's 2 or 3 days in a row? Yeah, there'll be a consequence for that. But one time, okay, whatever. Something that's not a huge deal. Now, is it a major mistake? Sure. Go ahead and correct that every single time. But if the consequences of the mistake are fairly small, don't feel the need to correct it every single time. And that's hard for a lot of us. That is something that both as a coach and as a dad, I've had to work on myself.
I think the gift of giving feedback, I mean, it's a hard and it's a lifelong journey about how to communicate, how to build people up, how to help them become a better version of themselves. It's a huge leadership topic. This one's a little bit age appropriate, or requires some level of age appropriateness. But I saw this in an interview. I'll try to put the YouTube link or Instagram link if I can find it. When Kobe Bryant got into coaching his daughter's age group or club team, they were doing wind sprints at the end of practice, and a dad was there and watching, and his daughter was struggling to keep up, and maybe doing a little bit of mental, can I do this? And the dad was trying to encourage her. And Kobe went up to the guy at the end of the practice and said, hey, I know you want what's best for your daughter. In those moments where she's struggling, that's where she's building her own self-talk. She can't have you in her head. She has to work through that to find her own grit, to find her own strength. And like, these are the moments. So just be patient and let the process work. And
losing Kobe as a coach is one of the worst things for the youth sports world.
Yeah.
Because the way he started clarifying the Mamba mentality stuff from the perspective of a coach and a parent, like if you listen to him talk after he stopped playing and once he started coaching, he was still super competitive.
Yeah.
But he understood the psychology behind parenting and coaching better than so many people that I wish we could have gotten more of him speaking on that,
I
because
know.
right now people just reference the Mamba stuff. They don't put it in the context of everything else like he was starting to. Even Kobe, one of the 10 greatest players ever, probably, who is the shining star of work hard, make yourself, all that. He said that the hardest challenge and number one priority of his relationship with his daughter was making sure she knew he loved her regardless of whether she played good or played like crap, his words.
Yeah. It's and we'll get into exactly what healthy sports parent is, but I think this, we can transition there with this one. Deion Sanders talked about when he was coaching Shedeur, he would walk down to the end zone before a game, and he would have his talk with him about right now I'm
And
dad.
then by
When
the
we
time
go
they got back,
I'm coach.
yep, I
Change
loved
the
it.
hats. So let's wrap up with a couple of rapid fire questions, but I do want you to give the elevator pitch on what the healthy sports parent is.
That's I don't even know if I have an elevator pitch on the healthy sports parent, but I think the way I would say it is the healthy sports parent sees their kid as a human first and an athlete second. And they value their relationship with their kid more than the performance of their kid. Because every kid's going to play a last game eventually. Usually it's by the time kids are 15 or 18, but we still have decades to be their mom and dad after that. And how we parent them through these years in sports is going to impact that relationship for the next 50 years.
And you are creating and curating resources to help parents really become more self-aware, and maybe coaching tips on how to do it, because it is an everyday struggle as a parent. Like, these things come up.
Yeah, so I put out content every single day on social media. We've got the podcast that there's clips from that all the time. I am working on the Healthy Sports Parents course, which will be out later this summer. It's 8 modules, 5 to 6 minutes each, basically helping people understand what they're feeling, why they're feeling it, and how that actually plays out on the sidelines. And like, it's less do's and don'ts and more like, here's what your kid is experiencing when you're yelling at them from the sideline.
Yeah.
Here's why, like, giving them feedback in the car might not be the best idea. And it's all about prioritizing the relationship over everything else and helping sports stay fun so that kids can learn all these lessons. So there's that coming in the summer. I've got what I call the Weekend Playbook, which is my weekly newsletter. It's a Friday email that's just, hey, here's something to think about as you go into this weekend's games. And I know you subscribe to that. That's how we got connected. But it's just little stuff. Like, sometimes you need to take your kid for ice cream when they play a bad game. Just to, like Kobe said, like, just to show your kid you love them, whether they play like crap or they play good. Like little stuff like that, because I have this core value in me that most parents want to do better. They've just never been taught how.
Totally.
So the way I'm kind of viewing my role in this is I'm a coach to the parents. And a good coach knows their players are going to mess up sometimes. A good coach is patient and understanding, and I'm trying to be all those things while still calling parents to more and helping them become the best version of a parent they can be.
I love it. Before you go, I ask every guest a couple of rapid fire questions.
Go for it.
Any favorite quotes?
From one of my professors in seminary, he said, methods are many, principles are few. Methods may change, but principles never do. And that's a guy, that you've heard me say it. Like, that's a guiding idea for me. Like, I have my core principles. The methods I use to live out those principles can change given the situation that I'm in or anything like that. I think it's true across life.
I love that. How about favorite books?
So there's a book that's if you're watching right here, it's a book called Imaginary Jesus from Matt Michelatos, I think is his name. It's an acid trip of a book. But as someone who's raised in the church, who I have a seminary degree, it was just all about how we create these fake imaginary versions of Jesus throughout our life and how we have to fight against them. And I don't talk too much about my faith on the platform. It informs so much of what I do, but that was a very formative book for me. And the other one would be A Million Miles in 1,000 Years by Donald Miller. That one was very formative to me 10, 15 years ago when it came out. And I find myself referencing that. Love Does by Bob Goff was one that I reference a lot. I know those are like in the faith world, those are two that are fairly known. But Love Does was all about like doing like the little things out of love. Like just, it doesn't have to be these big grand gestures.
You gave me three books that I'm an avid reader, and you just gave me three books I've never heard of.
Bob Goff put his phone number in the back of that book.
Wow.
And I texted him and he responded. He said that all it ever cost him was his time. So one of the things I've taken from that is I'm now, I think 16, 17 months into Healthy Sports Parents. I've got nearly 170,000 followers across social media. I have responded to every single parent who's emailed or DM'd me a question, because that's what love does. And if I want to help people, then that's the type of response. It might get to a point where I can't do that anymore, but I try to respond to as many people as I possibly can. Because if you're going to take the time to trust me with a question, I'm going to do my best to love you well enough to give you an answer.
That's amazing. Well, Jonathan, thanks for taking the time with us today. Thank you for everything that you're doing with Healthy Sports Parent and for youth sports. I think it's such a great movement that is so needed. So appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Everybody, do us a favor. If you're enjoying the show, please like, subscribe, share it with other parents or youth coaches, or maybe somebody that's just interested in leadership. Until next time, have a great week and a great weekend.